Well, it says we're live.
Yeah, lies.
Well, it changed colors
All right. If you would like to keep the air conditioning running,
today.
it's Texas. High of 80, chance of snow. Donate it to Blanket Fort. Thank you. If you like coffee, King Harvest Imperial Coffees, www.kingharv.com. Be sure you let them know you heard about it from us. They just sent us another shipment of coffee, by the way.
Woo!
tinyurl.com among the leaves tees, smart ass t-shirts. He puts more and more in every day. If you order them, let them know you heard about it from us. I think that's it.
And the West Coast is apparently about to get slammed with tornado warnings, among other things.
California?
Seattle down.
It's a cedar.
Hey.
We have a
Sanford is right behind me.
Okay,
It's a cedar.
it's 5 o'clock somewhere. There's a article out of the paper for you there.
Oh, thank you. I'm not part of this.
Hell, you're not.
Get your butt up here to the table, girl. Damn.
Hell, you're not. Sanford can sit over there.
So anyway, they're about to get slammed with weather. It's apparently one of the quote unquote freak storms.
Pacific Northwest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Tiffany Ross stood and walked.
Yes.
Yay, way to go, Tiff. And Nancy says, yeah, the tornadoes were supposed to happen last night. It was barely windy. Be glad, trust me.
Mm-hmm.
Although they've never had anything over an EF2 out there.
Terrain's wrong. I mean, it doesn't mean that they're any less scary or potentially destructive if they actually hit your house directly.
Yeah.
But you're not going to have the huge ones like we get.
When you've got
Yeah.
a mountain between you and the tornado, it's easy to be kind of blasé about it.
Yeah.
When you're on the plains and there's miles and miles of miles and miles, and that tornado's right there,
Or when you're standing at the dining room window watching it take your back fence out, which I was stupid enough to do at about age 10 until my mother grabbed me and yanked me away from the window.
I remember a video on YouTube, early days of YouTube, of a woman recording her husband because she said that nobody would believe her if she didn't have evidence. And she said this on the video. He's standing on the back deck with a beer, and the water in their pool is going up.
Yeah. That is called a water spout. I know what those are.
Nobody believed me if I did a video of this.
You do not fly through those because they will not wash your windscreen. Trust me.
Or something.
Well, that's probably salt water if it's pulling up from the ocean, in which case
Yes.
you don't want that on your windscreen. It's a fish.
Not going there.
Cedar is wearing a very Mediterranean fish.
Yeah.
And I'm going to leave it at that.
I'm wearing more than a fish. Y'all get your minds.
It's like you know the chat.
Oh,
So-
I am in a weird mood today, so pardon me.
Yeah.
Well, this is your first day of freedom, isn't it?
I no longer have a day job.
First day of freedom. We're couching it as freedom
Yeah.
because otherwise she gets depressed.
Yeah.
I am completely self-employed currently. I don't intend to stay just self-employed.
Well, that's good. Yeah, Rick. Earthquakes are better than tornadoes because a tornado hits your house, your preps are over 2 counties. True. However,
Tom Rodby says, "Hey Cedar, welcome to the club."
You and I, Tom, word counts, daily word counts. Need to make this happen.
Yes, we
having
have.
been in 2 fairly large earthquakes 2 weeks apart, they're not a lot of fun either.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, your prep might not be spread over 2 counties, but it might be spread under 2 counties if a cleft of the earth opens up under
Well,
you.
I was in Loma Prieta in
Mhm.
California,
Mm-hmm.
and 2 weeks later, I was in Japan northern Japan when they got an 8.1.
You just couldn't get away from them.
Anything
No.
in Wikipedia under natural disaster, it's just not fun to be around. I don't care.
No, it's not.
I mean,
It leaves a mark on your psyche.
I have been really darn close, not as close as Dorothy, but I have been really darn close to a wildfire.
Yeah.
A couple of wildfires. But we were all packed and ready to evac, standing on the side of the Alaska Highway, watching the fire move in towards town, because we were on the Alaska Range side of town, and it was coming up from the south. And didn't know until later that when the wind changed, it only burned a couple of buildings on the outskirts of town. But we thought the town had been burned down.
2 words: tactical wildfire. And
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that.
I mean, you can't control fire real well, but you can control fire.
Yeah.
More so than a tornado.
Well, we fought one when I was volunteer fire down in Florida. We started out at Jupiter Beach. Now we were out of Jacksonville, and we were that far into the support levels that
Mhm.
we had to go
Yeah.
with our brush truck, which was a old Army fuel truck
And there, Sanford.
that we had, shall we say, modified a little bit. When we left 3 days later, we left from Orlando, Chuliota, just outside of Orlando. That's how far that damn thing had burned. And we had 9 new tires on the truck because I got caught in a tree farm. We had a flashover,
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
and I was running over palmettos to get out of it. And the palmettos were burning, and they kept exploding tires.
Yeah.
So we finally got back to the station, and we got our butts chewed because 9 of the 10 wheels were now green instead of red. And there was some smoke damage to the vehicle.
Only
No.
some.
The fire truck.
Yeah.
Fire truck. D.A. Brock, tactical wildfire, isn't that Dresden or Tokyo? No, those are strategic
Yeah.
wildfires. There's a difference.
And the guys that were in our station were out of Woodbine, Georgia. And they were going, thank God you guys are back. We can go home now.
Dad and multiple of my cousins, second cousins, so roughly the same age as my dad, when I was little, they went Alaskans, hot shots.
Yeah.
They took them down to California every time there was a big fire.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you got good money doing that. It was not safe work, but you got paid good money.
Well, a friend of mine's brother, former Marine, Forestry Service manager, was also a smoke jumper. And every summer, and he was in his late 40s. He was still going out smoke jumping.
Mm-hmm.
And he would make more in a summer than he made the rest of the year as a supervisor for the fire service.
Well, Forest Service pays peanuts.
Yeah.
I mean, that was what Dad wanted to do before I was born. He and a very pregnant mom at 19 and 20 respectively were on their way to a Forest Service position that he had landed, and they stopped for a day or so to visit family in Nebraska and got notified that the position that he'd been given, the funding had fallen through, so he no longer had a job to go to.
Yeah.
And at that point he went to enlist, and they pushed off the enlistment until after baby was born.
Yeah.
So I was born, and like 4 days later they officially enlisted
No,
him.
they didn't want to have you on the
Base
Yeah.
med.
base. Yeah.
And I don't think I was born on base, but Grandpa was at SAC. That's why he was in Nebraska. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Speaking of fire ants, the molten aluminum sculptures.
They're rather striking.
Yeah, they are striking.
that wouldn't work in a fire ant nest, though. Fire ant nests are too small and fragile.
Not necessarily.
There are
a bunch of other kinds of ants that do.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
there's this one channel, and all they do is run around and dump molten aluminum into various species of ants, and then they show the.
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
they started with fire ants,
Yeah.
and they went to Africa. Woo!
Yeah.
They got
that would be cool.
they got one like 2 stories tall. That's
Yeah.
a lot of aluminum cans. Woo!
That's a lot
I'm
of
gonna have to
ants
go
too.
look that up.
There's a lot of them in Kansas.
Yeah.
Well, the fire ant mounds or the ant mounds in Africa are huge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Termites are worse.
Yeah,
There's a reason why there are so many varieties of anteaters in Africa.
yeah.
Termite mounds are great if you're dodging incoming fire because dirt plus termite spit is damn near bulletproof.
And they don't bite you nearly as much as the ants do.
They don't.
No.
Not that I would.
Have you ever seen an Uncle Hill? No, Sean.
Boy.
Oh.
It's going to be one of those days.
So we put up a post on Ractor. Yeah, we put up a post on Ractor Press with Cedar illustrations regarding writing for men's novels, and I'm getting a little bit perturbed, especially on Substack. I'm running across a lot of articles, and they've gotten to CNN and Gentleman's Quarterly and New York Slimes and the rest of them about, oh my God, nobody's writing for men. What are we? What are we?
You're nobody. And you will never be anybody because you're not on the left.
And you're not in New York. Yeah.
If you want to read men's stuff, hey, we've been here for over a couple of years. There's 67 anthologies on the ground by the end of the year and probably about 4 novels, all for men.
Well, like I said when I shared it on X, there's a time to stop whining about something and do something. And we have been doing something, which
Yep,
is
that's what
nice
I
because
do.
now we have a ready-made backlist for men who are looking for books, having been made aware that there's a lack. Now we are ready to step into the breach, and we
We've
already
been
have.
sticking.
Well, look, because that's the thing is everybody keeps saying, "Oh, we're going to start writing." Well, we've already got them, so we're
Okay.
here.
Of the 50 anthos that we have on the ground, the vast majority of them are for guys. Trust me.
Well,
Yeah.
The first
I
pinup
was-
noir. If you see that redhead, you don't think men's fiction. I don't know what to tell you. I got bad news for you.
And I would say that.
Well, you do write some stuff for the women, the
We
Moggy
do.
stuff.
Yeah. Well,
And even the Moggy stuff has stories in there that guys will appreciate.
Well, and as far as it goes, when I see the pinup for the picture for Pinup Noir with the redhead, I do not think men's fiction. I think that's a good thing of Cedar.
Yeah.
well, you don't count. Trust me, if you don't see the covers on the pinup noir and don't think, hey, men's fiction, go have your testosterone checked. Seriously.
It's the mailman.
It's our male dude.
Yeah, I was like, there are noises, and it's
Yeah.
man, it's okay.
Every time you say the mailman, there was a kid's show when I was a kid, and there are no copies of it or no copies of this section anyhow. They had the mailman show up every day, and they did a version of Toreador from the opera. I am the mailman. I work for Uncle Sam.
Male dude is not redundant because dude is gender irrelevant.
Yeah.
I've called a toaster dude.
Whereas to
Was
me,
that before or after you shot it?
Just prior to shooting it. It didn't work. Like, dude.
now to me, dude still means a guy in a Western who's dressed up like city and doesn't fit in with the cowboys.
Yeah, dude has become gender neutral today.
There was a
But
dude
when we were kids, it was a little different.
in the 90s. There was a dude ranch, an old family ranch in Bucks-Huffle County, that the daughter went off to Tarleton State and got a ranch management degree. Smart girl.
Yeah.
Came back and started turning the family ranch around. The first thing she did was turn part of it into a dude ranch.
Mhm.
And because people would pay to come help her work cows.
Yeah.
Health is a questionable thing.
Well,
now.
yes, but there were extra bodies.
Yeah.
And every time I went out there, because their fucking bison got out and I had to put it back, the majority of the dudes were dudettes. And dudette is just a complicated thing to say.
And the world was saved from Cylons.
Uh-huh.
In my case, Dad was a surfer dude.
Yeah.
Hawaiian versus Californian, but
Yeah.
Dad was a surfer. So I grew up with dude as just
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah. Usually with a doobie in their mouth or in their hand.
I mean, I'm not. Dad never said anything of the kind, and I never attributed anything of the kind to him. Although he did tell a funny story about back behind the high school, grew the perfect plants for frog spears. Nice forked roots, nice long, sturdy.
Yeah.
They'd go out and they'd grub up the marijuana and strip it and make it into a frog spear.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
think
why
it
they
was.
were
I
stripping
think
it.
it was. I think it was hemp weed. It wasn't
Yeah.
probably
It was-
something
it was
anybody
skunk
wanted,
weed. It was skunk weed.
Yeah.
but it made great frog gigs.
It was what we had as ditchweed.
Yeah.
There
Skunk
were a
weed.
lot of hemp plantations during World War II in Kentucky and Southern Ohio. A lot of hemp plantations.
Well, not only that, but 90% of the rope used on railroads was
Mhm.
hemp.
And ships.
It
And
used to be
that's-
standard. Hemp was meant
Yeah.
for rope, not
And that's where the
pharmaceutical.
term ditchweed came from, is it's literally
escapes
the
from
railroad
field.
ditch
Mhm.
stuff.
Yep.
Well, also the ditches on 287. I think I may be responsible for a large amount of that ditch weed.
Yeah.
Because I would catch some little idiot with personal use amounts of marijuana, and I'd tell him he could either dump it out the window or let me handle it.
Yeah.
And 99 times out of 100, they just quite rapidly dumped it out the window.
If you-
Cylon and Garfunkel.
May not have been my smartest move, but
Yeah.
better than giving some poor idiot a criminal record.
well, my thing about that is, had a cop given me that choice when I was a teenager,
Yeah.
okay, is he wanting to add a charge for attempting to destroy the evidence?
If he tells you to do it, that's not. If he gives you the option, that's not destroying evidence anymore.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about it is, it depends on the cop.
Hmm.
Not all of them are 100% up and up. You may have been, but I knew plenty that weren't.
Well, you just talking about hemp though. One of the things we found out back in the 70s was the little Japanese horses that you could buy different sizes, but they had a mane and a tail, and they were wooden horses that were painted.
Oh, okay.
Well, we found out the mane and the tail were hemp because the dogs would hit on them every time we landed,
Oh,
and customs would take them away from them. It's like, it's a friggin' doll. Oh, this is illegal. Really, dude? Yeah.
I was watching one of those little video things. I don't know where it popped up. X. I don't do TikTok. I pay someone to do TikTok for me. But little video thing shows up, and the captions talking about the fact that she's adopted a retired police dog, and she was on her morning walk, and the dog. And there's the video. The dog walks up to this old. It's a mostly hollow tree
Yeah.
trunk. That's the top part of it's
Yeah.
gone. And the dog sits down, and I'm like, "There's
That's an art.
drugs."
Yeah.
That's an art.
And she looks in the video moves. She looks in the trunk. There's nothing there, and she kind of looks. The trunk curls around, and there's something stuffed up in
Uh-huh.
there.
Yeah.
And she pulls it out, and she's like, "It's a baby shoe," and I'm like, "With drugs."
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm like, somebody crammed a
Yep.
baggie into a baby shoe and
Yep.
then shoved it in the tree trunk.
Yeah.
It's a dead drop for dope.
And
Yeah.
the video does not say that or show it. And the comments on the video were all like, "Oh, he found a baby.
Yeah.
You should go see if he can find where the baby is that lost it." And I'm like, "Dude,
Yeah.
there's drugs."
It's dope, guys.
Kermit
He's not
says-
trained to alert on babies.
I remember when DEA found out we had wild marijuana out here
Oh no.
from the mules from Mexico running weed on their backs. DEA wanted us to go out and rip out every plant on a 100-mile long foot trail.
Y'all knock yourselves out.
Yeah.
Oh,
DEA.
I mean,
Oh, God.
Well,
DEA.
you run a trail of gasoline down the whole trail, set it off, and then everybody stands downwind.
Yeah.
I mean upwind.
definitely. upland.
DEA. I have among my distaste for most federal agencies is fairly well known. The DEA and ATF are right up the top.
What are the odds that those actually go away this administration?
They
Low,
won't.
very
Yeah.
low.
Man.
I think the ATF
Darn.
might.
If it does, it'll come right back the next time Congress has a Democratic majority, like
The
every other parasite.
But you talk about DEA. I was the command duty officer in Jacksonville back in the late 80s. And I get a call from the base CDO. He goes, "Hey, you need to come out the end of the runway." Yeah, why? "You need to come out the end of the runway now." This is like right at nautical twilight. So I jump in the staff car. I run out to the runway. And there sits this twin-engine Cessna at the end of the runway with the door open. Okay, that's a little odd. Actually, that's a lot odd. And I walk around and I climb up on the wing and I look, and the back is nothing but packages. 1 kilo packages. And the base CDO goes, "What are we supposed to do?" Let me make a phone call. So we had a DEA detachment at NAS Jax, one of the air detachments.
Yay.
So I call the guy up at home. I said, "Hey, you need to get your butt in here." He goes, Why? It's too early in the morning. I said, "Well, I can take credit for the bust on the end of the runway, or you can come in and take credit for it." What?
Be right there.
Well, you know,
They bring in a dog, and the dog tracks the guy that was filing it to the fence where he jumped the fence. And somebody picked him up.
one of the things, you know, you're talking about DEA and ATF. There are 4 3-letter agencies I'd like to see go away this term.
Only 4.
These are my top 4: DEA and ATF, FBI, and most importantly, TSA.
Well, I would add Department of Education.
Okay,
I believe they're working
that's
on
not
that.
3-letter, not really a 3-letter agency. I agree that it should go away.
Oh, DEA. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Rick, it was not out of gas, but he was out of runway. And he had landed on the wrong runway. We figured out later, looking at the local chart, where he was probably aiming was about a county over, west of Jacksonville.
That's a great pilot. Missed it by a county.
Yeah.
Well done, sir.
Well, he came in obviously in the middle of the night.
Quit
at some
guinea
point.
pigging the product.
Yeah. You and I both know if you're on an air, if there is stuff in the office, remember the munchies that we have.
Jim and I may or may not have, after a big bust, when they had pounds of sticky icky in little gray trays all over the patrol office, may have walked by, got a bag of Doritos out of the vending machine, tied some 550 cord around it, threw the Doritos in the middle of the patrol office, and then slowly pulled it out.
Catch anything?
Yep.
And,
Yep. Caught 2 patrol deputies and a sergeant.
And a certain officer that had to take care of destructions
Woo!
would routinely come back and be going, "I got a headache."
Yeah, I got a bad headache.
Used to be
Now this stuff was all sealed, and it was permeating the seals.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he would come back hiring a kite.
they burned a marijuana field in Ohio when I was, and it was a good sized field. And it was upwind of the school.
Oh,
that could have been interesting.
That was interesting.
That probably shouldn't have been done. There's other ways.
well, what you're supposed to do is uproot the damn things, then burn them.
Well, thing about it is they said, well, it's dry. We can, and the people who were doing it did not, they were local yokels and did not think about the consequences. They were destroying it. It was perfectly safe, except for the fact that they were destroying it by the method the students liked best.
Yeah. Tom says, and that was the calmest homecoming game that school ever had.
Lost the football game by 40 points and didn't care.
Yeah.
Oh, that was, I have to say, that except for the people who got paranoid, people tended to be very mellow.
Todd, that's not necessarily true. He says most confident pilots want nothing to do with drugs, which leaves the less confident folks who have little to lose. Not necessarily true. We had a couple of Marine Corps Reserve pilots who flew A4s that got busted for running drugs.
When the payoff is that much.
Well, that and the adrenaline rush.
Well, and simple fact of the matter is, people who have an adrenaline issue,
Yeah.
also get into things like gambling and whatever else, and there is never enough money.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, when like Jim said, when you're an adrenaline junkie, running grass is a hell of an adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, a friend of mine who was Air America did it. Got caught.
Yeah.
Went to jail.
Yeah.
But it
Very-
was the
very-
adrenaline rush.
Very famous author that was in Air America got busted because he liked
Yeah.
the adrenaline. I know a lot of very smart people. Used to know a lot of very smart people that ran Moda over the southern border a lot back in the 80s.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Yeah. Yeah, Rick, A4s were little hot rods. They were called the Fords, and to this day, they still have the highest roll rate of any military aircraft, 720 degrees per second. So make 2 snap rolls in 1 second.
Yeah.
It's called pinning your head to the side of the canopy,
a pilot.
which is even more interesting when you're not expecting the asshole that's flying to do that to you.
That's why they do it.
Yeah.
That's why they do it.
Oh.
That's
But-
like the guy who stalls intentionally.
As a recovering adrenaline junkie,
yeah.
which has got me into a lot of stuff. Yeah, you will do some. In your late 50s, you'll look back and go, "What the fuck was I thinking?"
Yeah. True.
A lot.
And
Okay.
If
Adrenaline junkie.
Now,
we had
Todd,
not,
I don't think the T-38's got quite the same roll rate. It's close.
if we had not had some adrenaline junkie to us, would any of us be in as bad a shape as we are?
No.
Well, there's adrenaline and there's adrenaline junkies. There are some of us. Most teenage boys like adrenaline. It's because they're stupid and their brains aren't developed yet.
Yeah.
Once you get into your mid-20s and you still like to rush,
Oh, yeah.
and then you have to go be a cop to just undo the the ledger.
Unnamed groups. Right, Tom.
I'm just saying, of the local group, the men that are in bad shape, I think pretty much all of them had an adrenaline junkie problem.
Oh, yeah.
Some of us were worse than others.
Not
Why-
arguing that.
And why did I do that? Why did I do that? Because
Yeah.
it was fun at the time.
Well, it was fun. It was a challenge.
It was fun.
It paid
And-
well.
Man, not necessarily, but
And
it was a
sometimes.
challenge. We were the only organization in the military that practiced against our actual enemy,
Hmm.
and that was fun.
Oh, you're
Indigenic,
talking about while you were still in. I was talking about the stuff we did
Yeah.
when we were out.
Well, that too.
You never
In-
did the out thing.
endogenic morphines, better known as endorphins,
Yeah.
have a 40% more effective happy rate than the illegal stuff people pay a great amount of money to inject.
Yeah.
So when you learn how to get your own beta endorphins, it's you can get addicted to that.
Yeah.
With a quickness.
Yeah, Negro Road Warrior. Air America did run drugs at the behest of the CIA. A lot of that was for General Poe.
We all have countries near vacation and no shit, Tom.
Yeah. We're not going to talk about that, Tom.
Woo!
But it's always interesting to go back and look at what we survived. Sometimes intentionally, sometimes unintentionally.
What's more fun is doing the breakdown of what the sheer amounts of stupidity you had to do to get to the point you had to survive something.
Yeah.
Not always.
And in your in the more sedate decades when you can sit with a beer and reflect over what you did, and you go back and, well, that was the first stupid thing. The second stupid thing. Oh, look, stupid places with stupid people doing stupid things, and I barely survived.
Yeah.
Ha! Fancy that.
Yeah, Ollie North, Dan Laster, and the Bill Clinton connection. Yeah.
Sometimes you didn't do anything stupid and weren't trying to do anything stupid, but some of the people around you were doing things.
I was in stupid places with stupid people doing stupid things. God
Yeah.
bless John Farnham for that particular quote.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Sounds like a good time for an anthology.
Stupid places doing stupid things with stupid people.
No, I still think that Old Farts is the right anthology.
Yeah.
And I believed him when it's good for the country.
Yeah.
Whee! I get an adrenaline rush, and it's good for the country.
Which
One,
adds to the
one out,
adrenaline
one
rush.
out of two wasn't bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you got to suck the seat cushion out of your ass to.
Rock to break the seal.
Yeah.
Naugahyde.
Yeah. You got Naugahyde. We got friggin' open plastic.
When you grabbed onto the pussy bar,
Yeah.
to the point where you're holding it and it's no longer attached.
Yeah.
I have bent the grab bar on a Range Rover before. Don't ask. That's Cedar did a shoot at
Fool's Con.
Fool's Con. A whole bunch of us hanging off of the side rails on a
On the Bubba truck.
on the Bubba truck, and I happened to point out that wasn't the first time I've done that.
Yeah.
I figure it wasn't the first time for the majority of y'all that were hanging off that truck.
And no, alcohol usually was not involved until
Oh.
afterwards.
And the reason that I was clocking that arc shooting at a dead run because I knew all of y'all were going to fall off of it in a minute.
So they said, "What if you all got up on the run and everybody jumped on the running board?" It's like, you've done that before.
Running board, sides of helicopters. Yeah.
The step bumper on the back where you're hanging onto the
Yeah.
tailgate.
Yeah.
That wasn't going to work for this truck, but yes, I may myself have done that a few times.
Yeah.
I've never see. Well, first of all, I was a girl, so different.
Yeah.
Different strokes for different folks, and second of all, I never got the opportunity to go in the military and do stupid things.
I wasn't in the military anymore.
Well, women have the same adrenaline drive.
Oh, that's what I was going to
Yeah.
say.
It's
is,
just expressed a little different.
mine was things like rock climbing and river rafting
Yeah.
and horseback riding and skiing and cross country running barefoot in Alaska above the glacier.
Yeah.
Women,
Kermit says, I've ridden the back bumper in an F-350 at 60 miles an hour on a dirt road in the rain. Yeah.
He was a walking mud man after
So-
that.
so here's Cedar running barefoot across the glacier, young Cedar, and here's young Ian. Hey, we need to go into that room full of really bad guys and do something about it. All right.
Same
Okay.
difference.
It's okay.
I mean, that's the thing. I did search and rescue.
Yeah.
I started training for search and rescue when I was 11.
Yeah.
In Alaska.
Oh, we had female firefighters.
hmm
This is in the 70s.
I had every intention of doing that.
Yeah.
Instead, I lost my mind, got married when I was just barely over 19, and had 4 children
Yeah.
very promptly thereafter. And once you're a mother, things change.
Yeah.
hang on to this truck when it stops in the middle of the village. That one hut right there, get in there and sort it. All right.
Yep. I have to say, becoming a mother was terrifying.
Mm.
I mean, I did a lot of stupid crap when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And wasn't afraid of it. Baby, that was a whole different level of, dear God, what am I supposed to do? I'm going to screw this up.
Tom Robbins me. I need you to be inconspicuous on this job. My reply, sir, we're in Central America and I don't even have flowers in the country that look like me. Also, you're 7'12".
Yeah. When the average height's 5 foot nothing.
Uh-huh.
You're 7'12" and roughly this shade.
Yeah.
You're in Central America where they're all 5'2" and more this shade.
I was reading the beginning of a story while I was illustrating the latest Weird Warfare for Rack Press. and it described one of the guys as getting off a helicopter in Afghanistan, dressed in robes,
Yeah.
like a native, but with skin like ivory. And I'm
Mhm.
like, yep,
Well,
not one of them.
I think it was the first of Amazon's Jack Ryan series.
Yeah.
And I think I was watching Jim's house, but I was watching with Rita. And
Yeah.
the John, they were doing a snatch. It was not a bad snatch, but the secondary character was wearing schmog. I say, you better cover up those blue eyes if he doesn't really get spotted right out of the breach. And Reed looked at me like, I don't know what to tell you. Green eyes, I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, I know that there are some blue-eyed peoples in the Middle East, but I don't think they're common, and I think they have some very
They
specific
stand out.
tribal
Yeah.
traits.
They stand
Yes.
out.
Because I've seen some really neat pictures.
John
of-
Clark, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, there are green eyes, believe it or not, are less common than blue eyes. And I'm here to tell you, I've got very green eyes. And I learned with quickness, schmog's nice, but dark glasses are better.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, Tiffany, you tower over them at 5'6". That's the interesting part is in Japan, the women are now on an average taller than the men.
Hmm.
Because since post World War II, the women have now been getting adequate
Nutrition.
nutrition.
Yeah.
Japanese men average height is 5'5".
Yeah.
Japanese women average height is now 5'6"
Huh.
to 5'7".
Which is about the average height of a woman here in the U.S.
But
Yeah.
then again, the
5'4" is
younger
average,
Jack men,
Mm-mm,
the
that's 5'6".
younger Japanese men are approaching 5'9" or 5'10".
No.
I think they're saying the younger ones are getting taller.
I think they are getting taller. I mean, I know I met some Korean boys that were tall.
Yeah.
Courage.
But I would suspect that the younger ones probably are getting taller just because that's what happened in the U.S. too.
Yeah.
Same reason.
Yeah.
Adequate nutrition and not backbreaking labor that was compressing your spine.
But I can remember getting on the subway to go from Narita down to Yokosuka. And at one point, and it was a locals, it took forever, like 2.5 hours, 3 hours. There were 5 women sitting across from me. The oldest one, probably in her 60s. I mean, she looked it
Yeah.
in a traditional kimono.
Hmm.
She might have been 4'10". There was a woman probably in her 30s, maybe 40s. She was like 5'3". And then there was a college girl and 2 teenagers. And they were all 5'6", 5'7".
Yeah.
But it was just so startling
Hmm.
because here's the older lady who was very, very short.
Yeah. Tiny.
And it just the stair step.
Yeah.
Well, you look at Sarah Clitheroe.
Yeah.
Her little girls are like 10, 12 years old.
Yeah.
And they overtop her by a head.
Yeah.
Well, the
That's
fact that
genetics.
Okay. The
That's-
fact that their
Yeah,
dad
Their dad is 7'12".
father is 7'12".
Yeah.
No, Berbers, Kurds, and Pashtuns tend to fair skin, light eyes.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
And-
Red hair is also common among certain Afghani tribes.
Pashtuns.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some interesting little genetic puddles in places.
Well, you look places where Alexander's
Yep.
lost battalions went.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, Rick, that's a good point too. Father's father was 6 foot tall. Father was born in 26, grew up in the Depression. He was 5'6". Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Nutrition definitely plays a
Yeah.
part.
It
During
plays
the
a huge
Depression.
role, and it plays a role even before the child is born.
Yeah.
If the mother isn't getting sufficient
Right. The baby
Um,
never does.
The baby never does. And if the baby doesn't get sufficient fats in their diet, which is always the worst thing when you're looking at malnourishment, their brain doesn't fully develop.
Yeah.
So you get a striking difference not only in physical size but mental capacity as well.
Yeah.
Which is why every village used to have their own idiot.
Well, that and there
At least
wasn't.
one.
I mean, there's other reasons for that too that are more cultural.
Yeah. Jewish tradition of King David was a redhead. Yeah. The
That's
new Amazon
interesting. I
series
hadn't
is
heard
more
that before.
ginger side.
Being a redhead in the Middle East was always fun.
Yeah.
Half the time they're terrified of me.
Yeah.
I know there was. I've told a story. I don't have to tell it on here. Lebanon. Somebody offered my father 4 camels for my mom.
Yeah.
She heard him, and she cussed that guy up one side and down the other. And she uncorked.
Because she only offered 4 camels.
Well, and then when she was done, he blinked, told my dad 8.
Yeah.
And mom said, "That's better," and walked off.
Oh, yeah.
How much was your dad holding out for?
Didn't ask him. Wiser than that.
Well, the other thing too, and it's, Tiffany kind of alluded to it earlier, writing about redheads.
Hmm.
In the writing, you can play with the characters,
Yeah.
and there are certain, shall we say, stereotypes that go with redheads.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
And you can have fun with that.
One thing about it is if you specifically mention that someone is a redhead in a story,
It
early
comes-
in the story,
it comes with expectations.
it comes with expectations.
Very much so.
On the other hand, if it doesn't get mentioned until later, and she's been a drab person all along,
Yeah.
Everybody assumes she's brunette.
Oh, short with stereotypes of being fierce. Not sure that's a stereotype.
No, that's a fact.
It's
Padre blonde who grows out a red beard. Yes.
now one thing about the redhead stereotype being correct. It's especially true amongst the redheads that got it out of a bottle.
Yeah.
Because that's why they dyed their hair red in the first place, is because they fit the
They
stereotype.
needed the excuse.
I dated a natural redhead who was a Navy nurse. Yeah, and she was not a stereotype,
I know.
but damn.
So we have gone through. Boy, this one's gone off the rails.
We don't
Um,
have rails. I think we've established this.
Yeah.
Rails. We don't know stinking rails. Let's see here.
Well, Weird Warfare is out.
Weird Warfare's out.
And the Weird Warfare 2 is coming out.
Yeah.
Working on it a little bit ahead of time because I'm going to be in and out doing a little bit of traveling for the next week or so.
Oh, speaking of, put the word out. Put out the touch if you would. Cedar needs a work from home job. She is free and needs more income than Rack
Yeah.
Press currently
I
can
have a
provide.
broad and interesting skill set. However, I have no desire to relocate. So I do have extensive experience of working from home, both running a business and the last 3 years of working from home.
She needs a work from home job because Racketeer can't press. Racketeer, whoa, word salad much.
Rack Press
Racket-
isn't there for paying salaries
Yeah,
yet.
we're not paying salaries quite yet.
But the other thing too is that I have been self-employed before, and I'm self-employed technically now because I'm writing
Yeah.
and doing graphic design. But being self-employed is terrifying. I would rather have somebody else giving me my assignments every week than going, self, you need to sit your butt down and write 1,000 words.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, speaking of which, I did a couple of posts on my blog about writing, and I was using examples from vignettes about why I was doing certain things,
Mhm.
and I got some interesting feedback.
Yeah.
Apparently, a lot of writers don't talk about why they write things or the way they write things.
They don't know why they write the way they
Yeah.
Yeah.
write
that's
the way
that's
they
a
do.
possibility.
And I keep flashing back to Mona Lisa because she knows exactly where she's going.
Mhm. I
Because
don't.
because she's Romanian and well, go this way.
Yes.
Oh, it's only this way.
Agatha Christie.
On the other hand, you get one of my writing friends who says, well, I'm sitting there and the character came up and told me to start writing, and then I had to write his story his way.
Yeah.
And then somebody else came in and took over the story.
Yeah. Tom says the voices in my head rarely give me the motivations. You're lucky, Tom.
Shut up, voices, or I'll poke you with a Q-tip again.
Yeah.
Someone posted recently about where you get your ideas for stories. And I have all the ideas in the world, and I try to give them to people, and they won't take them.
She's Romanian. Yes, Mona Lisa's Romanian.
Yes.
Well, not. She's going to kill me. Little sister's going to kill me with that one. She's American.
Yeah.
She was born and raised in Romania.
Yeah. Resident One, we are always on Tuesday at 4:00 in the afternoon, on Thursday at noon.
We do have a consistent time. We had a consistent time for years.
Yeah.
God,
we did change this year, though.
Yeah, we did change this year.
We've been doing this for years. Holy crap.
For ideas from the Idea Shop in Schenectady.
And I will not normally be on
Tuesdays, yeah.
Thursdays.
Or Thursdays, yeah.
Yeah. I'm here today because, well, special circumstances.
But the thing is,
Isn't that a title of a John Ringo novel?
Probably.
Probably.
yeah,
Central time.
Central time.
We're in Texas.
Always.
Always Central time. We're
I
not in
always
El
say
Paso.
that in the Facebook post, which apparently nobody gets.
Because Facebook.
Yeah, it's Facebook.
Well, Facebook has an algorithm, and it determines if you want to see a post, it will never show up in your feed, or at least not until a week late.
Yeah.
If you don't want to see the post, it'll be top of the feed, and will keep going to the top of the feed.
Oh,
Somehow-
I've been getting posts 10 or 12 days late lately.
Yeah.
I'm not on
When I
Facebook
go on.
anymore. I'm not on Facebook anymore. And boy, I'm feeling better.
Working on edits. Yeah, that's the other thing. I can't edit myself because I know what it's supposed to say. And I mean, there are people who can edit themselves. I'm not one of them.
Oh,
Spam, you're smart.
speaking of Substack, for some reason I'm off on tactical stuff these days, which I'm not sure everybody wants to read, but enough want to read it, so I'll just keep writing. We had an issue in town a week or so back. Some critter was doing something stupid. The guard guy showed up and he took off, started running. So 4 agencies were looking for this little brat, and he hid in somebody's house. And that created all sorts of problems for the local police, for him, for the homeowner, everybody. Have some way to pass the police a key, because I know our local cops, God bless them, they're not young enough, and they've got way too much issue gear to be crawling through windows.
Yeah.
If you don't want them kicking down your front door, have some way to get them a key. All right, guys?
And doors are expensive these days. You don't want
Yeah.
them kicking down your door, not
Well-
punching the damage to the door frame.
Well, not to mention the fact that if they try it and it's a good door, then you have damage to the cops.
It wasn't a good door, but it's expensive nonetheless.
Yeah.
And they were in contact with the homeowner through the window. But officer, moderate drag, medium speed, was not capable of climbing through the window.
Yeah.
So he took the door.
An
Well-
external door will run you $600-700, and
Oh,
that's
at
without
least.
even
Oh, yeah.
getting into the door frame damage.
The SWAT rhino showed up, so he took the frame out too.
Yep.
They got the critter after they gassed him out of the attic, but if I'm home, it's not locked. It was 3 a.m. It was locked,
Yeah.
but
Critter went through the window. The cop couldn't go through the
no,
window.
critter went through the window, then up in the attic, and he was hiding out in the attic. So they gassed the attic. That's a whole different set of problems
Oh.
because when
Resale value just dropped.
they OC'd the attic, and when in the middle of his coughing fit, he fell through between a couple of rafters.
I shouldn't laugh. But
Yeah.
the mental image of this whole Keystone Cops episode is just
I thought it was funny as hell, but a whole bunch of that issue would have been solved if he'd had somebody to hand the cop a key.
Right. Well, they still would have had the critter in the attic. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like having raccoons in the attic. You don't want to leave them up there. They build a nest. They
It's
have babies.
It's a really big, spicy raccoon. You don't want him staying there.
Well, what they should have done was gone through the ceiling a few times with the spear. Just that would have got him out without having to gas the place. And that's a little bit of
Fun
drywall mud.
Is I'm pretty sure they use a grenade that I talked him into using. There's most pepper grenades they're pressurized, and when you hit the tab, they start spraying immediately, and then you throw them while they're spraying, which is less than
Ideal.
ideal. So Def Tech, I think it's Def Tech, maybe Safari, I forget, makes a grenade that's full of very fine pepper dust and a CO2 cartridge. And it's got a little charge, so when you pull the pin and throw it, 2 seconds later, the charge pierces the CO2 and it blows all the dust out in an attic.
Mm-hmm.
And ain't never coming out.
It ain't
No.
never, well,
No.
it's there.
And here's the deal, which is nobody's paying for this.
No.
The cops aren't going to pay for
Nope.
the damage. The critter isn't going to pay for the damage.
He'll be charged for it, but he's not ever going to cough up the money for
Critters are what they refer to in the industry as judgment proof.
it.
Yeah. I'm a 30-second bomb. I'm a 20-second bomb. 28-second
I'm
bomb.
pretty sure they put more than the recommended number because we're North Texas. We're enthusiastic. So if it's recommended for one of these grenades for 100 cubic feet, they did 5, maybe 12, because why not? Let's use them.
We ain't never going to get another chance to do this. I want to have a chance to throw one.
Yeah.
That one didn't feel right. I'm going to throw a second.
He's not coming out. Throw another one in there. Because he can't see, Chief. He's not coming out. Throw another one in there.
He's not.
Yep.
He's not coming out. That's because you cronked him on the head with the first one.
Stranger things have happened.
There was, I don't like the spray ones. That basically you you activate the spray and it locks. And it sprays till the can's empty. I'm not a big fan of those. And I did not realize they did that. Probably should have. But one of our local geniuses, and this is not here, this was up in the Panhandle. One of our local geniuses up in the Panhandle took animal husbandry the wrong way.
Oh no.
And when Farmer Johnson came out and found Genius and his heifer,
Yeah.
he got annoyed. And Genius took off and hid up in an attic in an abandoned cow house. And the sheriff handed me a grenade and said, "Grenade him out of there." So I went, "Okay." And I was hors de combat for a while. In flagrante bovine,
Yeah.
Tom.
I didn't think that needed. Yeah, I thought you pointed that out well enough.
Tom Robbie said in flagrante delicto. Nope, in flagrante bovine. Animal husbandry was not what he thought it was.
Yeah, never mind. I'm not going there.
I had the opposite happen one time.
The cow was in.
No,
okay.
Dad picked up a book at the garage, or not the garage sale. It was I think it was the big library book sale. He brought a book home called Animal Husbandry, older book published in, I don't know, 1960s, and it was actually a novel, and it was talking about a lady who'd married a farmer and was not happy city girl on the farm. I didn't actually read the whole thing, just enough to be like, why Dad was so disgusted with. He thought that was a different book than it was not.
Whoops.
It's actually a romance novel, sort of.
Well,
Or is
in Tijuana, the book that you would be looking for is Animal Wifery.
Yeah.
Orange to combat or orange to combat. If he'd been 2 stalls over, it would have been a horse to combat.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm in a mood today. Wow.
yes.
No, I popped that grenade. The
Yeah.
OC went straight up my nose.
That got your attention.
Oh.
First
At
was
least your
punch, wasn't it?
sinuses were clear for that month.
Well, it was punch. It wasn't that good, but
Yeah.
Bentley can easily feed Chat GPT images and make that happen to much hilarity. Oh, wait, Grok. Y'all knock yourselves out.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause I'm on enough watch lists.
I got, of course, there was the guy that had been an Army NBC NCO,
Always
and
fun.
they started throwing tear gas canisters into his house, and he was throwing them back, and he was more accurate than they were.
Well, he had more practice.
The one I still find funny is when Sanford got called in for jury duty, came home like an hour later and told me what happened. And they had essentially asked if anyone had experience with tear gas.
Yeah.
Or was it tear gas or pepper spray?
Tear gas, I think they said.
Yeah.
And had people show of hands, and yours wasn't the only hand that went up, if I recall the story correctly.
Not the only one, no.
And then they asked if they thought that was a cruel and unusual punishment.
No.
Not really.
Well, I said they really ought to go to tasers, because you can get used to the sprays, and
Well, you
can't
can
get
also
used-
get used to a taser.
it takes a lot longer, and it still affects you physically even once you're used to
I
it.
have never gotten used to a taser.
No.
Woo, I hate
There are
tasers.
people that are, though.
And the thing is, I would rather be tasered than pepper sprayed.
Yeah.
Because once the taser stops, it stops.
Yeah.
Pepper spray just keeps making you miserable for
Yeah.
8 hours.
Differs, you've been hard at it this morning. Did all the laundry, finished the kids' school, and cooked 2 meals before noon. Yep, you deserve a break today.
That is the way. That is
She
a
deserves more than
housewife's
McDonald's.
work. I
Yeah.
mean, I get. I occasionally catch splatters on X or even Substack about women talking about how being a mother and a homemaker is a waste of a life. And
What?
yeah, now that one presses all my buttons, and
Jesus.
Goodness, 5,000 years of history down the toilet.
but that's the thing, which is
1,000 years of human
that
history.
we've had the last 100 years of being taught that women should go into a career, and that doing anything other than that is literally throwing their life away.
And if the
Being a homemaker is not a career?
Well, right, because that's what I was first.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just because I decided I was going to build a career later.
Yeah.
Got my bachelor's degree when I was 40, and the kids were fairly well grown at that
Yeah.
point.
and women should always have the careers that take the most intelligence and the least physical labor, because stupid jobs that are physical and dangerous are for men, because men aren't capable of doing the smart jobs.
Every time they say that homemaker is not a career, that
Yeah.
basically craps on
Mhm.
5,000 to 10,000 years of human history.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, who's going to bring forth the next generation if it's not a mother?
Yeah.
I mean, having children is one thing. Farming the children out to a daycare is a whole nother. I mean, if you have to, you have to.
Yeah.
But if you don't have to, it's so much better for them if you're home with them.
And dad won't cut it, because there are certain things mom can do that dad can't.
Well, and there's
Dad will do the same things in a different way.
Yeah.
yes, exactly, because men and women are not the same.
Yeah.
There's a whole other hot button for me.
There's a time when the kid needs to be coddled. There's a time the kid needs to be tossed over a bed.
Whee! Padre says, I love your nose ring, grabs a 9-volt battery. Every time I see a male or female with a
You
nose
want a
ring,
9-volt battery.
I
Every
A, want a
time.
9-volt battery, and B, can't help but think about friggin' steers on the ranch.
I
Or
got
hogs.
in trouble one time because I saw a young lady with a nose ring and various other facial jewelry. I told her I was sorry that she fell into a tackle box, but she probably needed to get that stuff out of there and back to the fisherman.
I at one point built a large electromagnet.
Yeah.
One of my ex's friends, had enough metal in his face and body that I wanted to turn it on, attach it to the roof, and turn it on when he walked into the room. I wanted to see if I could lift the 400 pounds that he weighed.
Yeah.
my ex and her children got upset with me.
I've actually seen a surgical steel nose ring in an MRI before.
Yeah.
And that's fun to watch.
Yeah.
For certain.
Ding, because it's going to come out of
I
there.
was going to say they generally go over people with a pretty fine tooth comb and ask them all kinds of questions before they just shove them in an MRI.
My guess is that it had been tucked up inside.
I don't know, but I was a EMT at the time, and we were next in line. It was trauma, and they just ran this chick in there, and the squalling was impressive.
Yeah, the trauma makes sense though. If you're in a hurry, you're
Yeah.
not necessarily going to do a
Guess
thorough
Well,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
even worse when there are rings in other locations.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
There's a show that's got Captain Tight Pants in it. That he's a cop, and he's wanting this guy, and the first thing he finds is the tongue ring.
Yeah.
And he says, "Well, I have to, for purposes, the arresting officer has to remove that."
Yeah.
So he takes it out, starts down, and then he's got nipple rings.
Yeah.
Goes down, gets to the waist area, and the guy just looks at him and smiles.
I'm here to tell you, around here, you make the suspect take it out.
Yeah.
Because
Well, you and Biohazard and you,
I'm not going up Methamy's nose to get that nose ring.
right?
Not going to happen.
Biohazard.
Oh,
bodily
speaking
fluids.
of,
Yeah.
I made a joke about Methany, and Crystal Methodists.
Yeah.
Apparently, outside of the South, that folks don't understand. That's first responder slang for meth heads.
I actually think that might be outside of the first responder community that people don't get that.
Yeah. Because we've been using that for years.
Oh, yeah.
right.
Well,
And
I
here's-
heard it occasionally in Ohio.
Well, and that's exactly what I'm going to say, which is your everyday average citizen living a quiet suburban life does not encounter
Matthew.
Methu.
Yeah.
Or if they do, it's from a distance. Avoid the skeevy guy that's walking towards across the parking
Yeah.
lot trying to panhandle. So I would say that it probably is just you will have readers that just have never encountered that kind of nickname because they've never encountered much of that kind
I
of
remember
person.
the first time when Rita and I were dating, she'd moved up here. Well, not dating, we'd moved in together. And we were up here and we were at Walmart. And one of our local Methanies spotted me, recognized me in the parking lot, and she was talking. And I asked her when she'd failed out of the rehab program. And Rita looked at me kind of squirrely. And then one of Methany's teeth fell out and bounced off my boot.
Yeah.
And Rita went, "Oh, she's done failed out of rehab."
Yeah. First United Crystal Methodist Church. Yes.
Crystal Methodist.
Yep. Yeah, and people do lose teeth for other reasons. Diabetes being
But
one of them.
there is a distinctive smell when methamphetamine is the reason you've lost your teeth.
Oh yes.
Well, the thing about it is, the nickname may be more common south or certainly to first responders, but the concept and the type of person is, I think, almost universal in the United States. If you hear about a house or a trailer exploding and burning,
Oh yeah.
the first thought is, how big was the meth lab?
Yeah.
So Matthew does not know how to keep his meth lab from exploding.
Yeah. Yeah. Crocodile, yeah. That just melts your skin. Yeah.
Now,
And on that note, we've wasted another hour of your time,
holy
folks.
crap, we have. Boy, this one went all over the place.
And this is different how?
Mm,
It went more directions because you had more people.
that was good. I like having more people.
Yeah, and thank all of you for sticking with
It's
us.
not all on us.
Yeah, we only got 18 likes out of 26. So
Holy crap.
readership is down today. 19. Yay.
Well,
Come on.
26,
Can we get 20? One more.
26 viewers?
Yeah.
That's all?
That's it.
Well, folks, remember, don't sweat the petty stuff. Don't pet the sweaty stuff. Have a good weekend. Be safe.
Y'all be safe.
And if you're in the Pacific Northwest,
Why?
Stay in the valleys.
Stay in the valleys.
Don't
Yeah.
go up and stand on a ridgetop
You're in the Pacific Northwest. Why?
Yeah.
because it's beautiful there. It's just
No, it's
under
not.
enemy occupation.
It's
right
full
now.
of idiots.
It didn't used to be.
It is now.
When I was
Alright.
growing up, it was a wonderful place.
It's
That
probably
was a
still
long time
wonderful-
ago.
It's probably still
Hey.
a wonderful place east of the Cascades.